So they would gather, and that would be the process. It would be fire yagya. And this godbrother of mine said he attended one of these ceremonies. And the yagya priest, some Austrian person, he had no arms. So he was holding the yagya spoon with his feet, taking the offering that way. So this is a very good illustration of how people today are actually not qualified to perform the Agnihotra Yagya. There are not qualified Brahmins who know how to chant the mantras with Brahminical power. Also, the ingredients that are supposed to be offered in such big sacrifices are not available. And again, the same point, these people don't know anymore the actual object of yagya. Yagya by Vishnu. Sacrifice is meant to please Lord Vishnu, just like we are supposed to meditate on Lord Vishnu. But nowadays, when these yagyas are performed, the offerings are sent to all kinds of different demigods. And so there's also no result. Not even a material result. We read in the, for example, in the 5th canto, it is mentioned, sacrifice of Maharaj Nabhi, or in the 6th canto, sacrifice of Maharaj Prithu. We see that the Supreme Lord personally appeared at the sacrificial altar to receive the offerings. And he would come with great sages like the 4 Kumaras. In the sacrifice of Maharaj Prithu, the 4 Kumaras, they gave lecture. So that means the whole kingdom, all the people were attending, big audience, seeing this great fire sacrifice, and they had darshan of Vishnu and 4 Kumaras, and they could hear a nice Bhagavatam lecture from the 4 Kumaras. So these accounts from Srimad Bhagavatam help us understand what the real yagyas were like in the Treta Yuga. And then in the next stage, Dwapara Yuga, is the worship of the lotus feet of Krishna, or in other words, Pada Sevana, which refers to deity worship. So, one can see in India still there are great temples from that age. But these temples are also, they've also become reduced. Practically, now they're like tourist places. And in these temple towns I have seen, I have visited, so many people are coming, that's true, but also apart from getting darshan of the deity, all kinds of sinful opportunities are there. There is prostitution, there is opportunity for drug abuse. So this shows that the standard has been corrupted, and therefore again deity worship itself alone is not effective now. So in this age, Kalo Tad Hari Kirtana, the Yuga Dharma is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. And it is so powerful that it will give life again to the other three processes. So therefore also we see in Krishna consciousness there is Vishnu Dhyan, meditation on Vishnu. For example, those who have Brahmana Gayatri, that's what they do. They're meditating on the Lord. There is fire sacrifice, which is, for example, performed at the Vaishnava initiation when the holy name is given. And there is also deity worship, which is now effective as a supporting process for the chanting of Hare Krishna. Because the deity worship, when performed properly, then it keeps the mind and the senses engaged in Krishna. So then when we chant the holy name of the Lord, the chanting is very powerful because the mind and senses are engaged in Krishna's service and not in material affairs. So then in this age, as stated here, whatever results were achieved from other processes in other ages, everything happens now through the chanting of Hare Krishna. And so that is why Harinam is the Yuga Dharma. So, how do we know what is Dharma? Someone may say. So, that is explained that Dharma means to conquer over a sinfulness, which means, of course, the 4 pillars of Adharma: meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. And along with that, Dharma means attraction. Attraction to hearing about Krishna. This is explained in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, if these are the symptoms of real Dharma, then where we will find Dharma? Where can you find people who are free of the four sinful habits, and where can you find people who have attraction to hear Krishna Katha? There's only one place. That's in the Krishna consciousness movement. So sometimes people accuse the devotees, oh, you are like everybody else. You say your way is the only way. You say your religion is the only real religion. But everybody is saying that. So you are sectarian like the rest of them. So our reply to that is, let us consider how Dharma is defined. Dharma means human life where sin does not enter. Eating, illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. They're listed in the first canto. Four kinds of adharma. So dharma means, first of all, basic definition, dharma means absence of adharma. And then, speaking positively, it means attraction to hearing and chanting about Krishna. So you can name all these different religious sects, but you won't find either one of these symptoms there. You don't even find the first one, the absence of adharma. So then, where is the argument? You see, an intelligent person can recognize that this is the proper understanding of Dharma. The intelligent person in Bhagavatam is called Sumedha. So there's that verse, Krishna Varna Tvisa Krishna Sango Pangastra Parshada Yogyayar Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumedasa. That in this age, Krishna will come again. As he came 5,000 years ago, he will come again in the Kali Yuga, but he will be a Krishna. He will not be black. In other words, he will be of a golden color. And he will be chanting. Krishna Varna means the syllables. Krishna Varna means syllables. So in Krishna, 2 syllables. So he will be recognized because on his lips will always be these 2 syllables. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And Sango Pangastra Parshadam, when he appears, he will be surrounded by wonderful associates who are his energies. And Yagyaya Sankirtana Prayer, what will be their activity? The Lord and his associates will spread the Sankirtan Yagya throughout the world. And Yajanti Hi Sumedasa, those who are intelligent, they will take up this process as the Yuga Dharma. So, elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, a sage Chamasa Muni, he's speaking with Maharaj Mimi. And he is very direct. He's speaking of the same process of Sankirtan. And the process of devotional service, exclusive devotional service to Lord Krishna. So he says that those who do not take up this process in Kali Yuga or any age, actually he means any time, but who worship other demigods, who perform dharma but for some materialistic end, then he says their actual goal is that they want to break the regulative principle. And we can understand from this very clearly, because sometimes people ask, or even devotees ask, why there are so many different religions? If God is one, why all these confusing different religions? So Chamasa Muni has given a very direct answer. He said, there are people who want to break the regulative principles. They want to eat meat, they want to be intoxicated, they want to enjoy lots of lusty activities. So for them, there are other so-called dharmas. Actually, they are adharma. They're irreligion, but Maya makes them look like religion to these kind of people. Okay. So then their priests are offering holy wine. Drink the holy wine. And it's very interesting because someone might argue that there are certain Vedic rituals in which wine is offered. But in the Bhagavatam, it says that even when this is done, it's only for certain ceremonies, but even if it is done, then you are supposed to only smell the wine. Not supposed to drink it. But they drink it because it's holy wine. So in this way, in these adharmas that look like dharmas, we see the four regulative principles of real dharma are being broken. And these rascals, even though they're dressed up in some long cloth, beard, they become very addicted to these sinful activities. One godbrother of mine gave me a book. It was written by a friend of his who's not a devotee. And this book is about vegetarianism and all the different major religions. So it's interviews with members of the different religions who are also practicing vegetarians.
Има интервюта с личности, членове на други религии, които практикуват също вегетарианство.
So one of these is a Catholic monk
Един от тях е католически монах,
who holds vegetarian cooking seminars.
който ръководи вегетариански готварски семинари.
Mm-hmm. So the interviewer was saying, so where are you doing your seminars?
И въпросът е, къде правите ваши семинари?
And he was talking about so many engagements he's been having in the society.
Имаш толкова много ангажименти в обществото.
You know, like cooking classes.
Както готварските класове.
Strict vegetarian.
Стрикни вегетарианци.
Then the interviewer said, but what about, okay, that's within society, but what about within your church?
Това е в обществото, а какво за вашата църква?
Within your own Catholic organization.
Във вашата организация.
And he said, it's not possible there.
Отговорът е бил, не е възможно там да има такова нещо.
He said, sometimes I try it.
Понякога аз се опитвам.
But then the other brothers, you know, the other monks, they protest. Where's the meat? Where's the meat?
Понякога опитвам, но други мои братя, те протестират, къде е месото?
They cannot accept that it is food, that he's cooking food, unless there must be some meat there.
Те не могат да приемат, че това е храна, ако няма месо.
So he was lamenting. He was even saying, I don't know how long I will stay as a monk.
Така той се е признал, аз не знам колко дълго ще стана монах.
And it was funny. He was saying like that, not because most people, if they talk like that, means, oh, it's too strict. But he's saying they are also, they will eat anything. He said, I don't like to be with these people.
Той просто е казал, аз просто не искам да бъда с тези хора.
So, yes, we see that particularly in the Kali Yuga, the so-called religions are just societies for breaking the regulative principles.
Виждаме, че тези религии в Кали Юга са просто общества за нарушаване на регулиращите принципи.
So, anyway, Prabhupada said, we don't want to fight with them. The thing is that in all the scriptures, there is the directive that the holy name should be chanted.
Прабхупад казва, ние не искаме да се съжаваме с тях, но във всички религии се казва, че трябва да се мъдрува святото име.
But unless they take up the proper Yuga Dharma, they won't be able to develop any attraction for the holy name, even the holy name in their own scriptures.
Но ако те нямат право на насоченост, те не могат да имат привличане към святото име, макар че в техните книги.
So this is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement has to contribute.
Това е което става в движението Бог Чайтания.
The actual example of Dharma in this age.
Истинската дарма в тази епоха.
And then, as explained here, by this, then all the Vedic methods of Dharma will be completed just by chanting Hare Krishna.
И така, чрез мантруване всички други процеси ще бъдат завършени.
Are there any questions? Yes.
Maharaj, I wanted to ask you, how do you see, for example, this inter-religious dialogue? Like, what do you think is its importance, if there is some, I mean, besides this legislative meaning of trying to come that they will accept us as bona fide religion? What do you think about this inter-religious dialogue and PR to other religious people?
Well, as long as it's not with the idea that we want to join you, then it's all right.
Въпросът беше, доколкото разбрах, какво мислите за всички тия интервюта, интервюращи междурелигиозните общности, и отговор е, докато те не искат да се присъединят към нас, това е добре.
So, and you know, to be truthful, among even these other religions, those who actually are serious about real dialogue, they're not so many.
Ако трябва да бъдем честни, между всичките общества няма такива истински интересуващи се от това.
So if it can be some real, you know, dialogue on the essence of religion, on real principles of religion, where we get an opportunity to at least present our philosophy, whether or not they will accept it, but at least they invite us to present it.
Истински диалог може да има тогава, когато ние не възможност да представим философията на Кришна.
Then it's all right. It's an opportunity to preach.
Това е добре, това е възможност да проповядваме.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Мен се казва, че в сегашната епоха единствено пожертвоприношение това е покаянето на селото име на Бога. И въпросът ми е точно, понеже малко ми е мътно, мога да бъде какво представлява точно жертвоприношението, какво се има предвид самата дума, нещо като определение.
It is said that in this age the sacrifice is the chanting of the Hare Krishna. My question is, what exactly is the definition of this sacrifice, this word sacrifice?
Yes, sacrifice. The Vedic sacrifice also is centered on the chanting of mantras.
Жертвоприношението е основано на мантрите.
So there are the rituals that one does, but they're done always with chanting of Vedic mantra.
Има ритуали, но винаги се мантруват ведически мантри.
And it is from the science of yajna teaches that it is the result of the yajna actually comes from the chanting.
И резултатът от тези яги идва от мантруването.
That's why in these yajnas they would have one priest who is just sitting by to hear how everyone is chanting.
Ето защо при тези яги има личност, която стои и слуша как се мантруват тези мантри.
And if there's he hears any mistake, then he stops, chant this again.
И ако има някаква грешка, спира ги и мантрувате отново.
So, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is, of course, the same principle, but of chanting, but this is the name, the direct personal name of Krishna.
Същия принцип е при Харе Кришна Махамантра, но тук е името на Кришна, директното име на Кришна.
So you can see the same basic sense of yajna as chanting mantra is there.
Виждаме основата на мантруването е там.
But this yajna, Harinam Sankirtan, is a yajna which is meant for pleasing Krishna through bhakti, devotion, and receiving from him the benediction of love of God, Krishna Prema.
Тази яга е предназначена за удовлетворяването на Вишну и получаване на чиста любов.
Whereas the older yajnas, the Vedic yajnas, they're more like scientific experiments, something like that.
Докато всички други яги са нещо на научна основа.
And the mantras are also addressed to Vishnu, but more not always with love.
Мантрите също са към Вишну, но не винаги с любов.
But desiring various fruitive results.
но желаейки много плодоносни резултати.
That's generally the mood of these yajnas.
Това е обикновено настроението на тези яги.
They're fruitive,
Те са плодоносни.
although they're also addressed to the Supreme Lord.
Те също са адресирани към Върховния Бог.
And so then, when the ritual is performed properly, with faith in the Lord, and then he will bless these brahmanas with the results that they want.
И когато се извършва с някаква вяра, то тогава има някакъв резултат.
So this is the cycle of that type of yajna is dharma, artha, kama, moksha.
И цикъл е дharma, karma,
Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Yes. And this is called Chaturvarga, the four goals of human society.
Това са четирите цели на човешкото общество.
But Lord Chaitanya has said that the Hare Krishna, the process of Nam Sankirtan, belongs to a fifth stage.
Бог Чайтаня каза, че мантруването на Харе Кришна принадлежи към петата цел.
You see? That is above these four goals, ordinary goals.
Това е над тези четири обикновени цели.
And this fifth stage is Krishna Prema.
Този пети стадия е Кришна Према.
So this is a chanting of Hare Krishna is a yajna which develops Krishna Prema, love of Krishna.
И мантруването развива тази Кришна Према, любовта към Кришна.
That is the result that is sought by those who perform the sacrifice of the holy name.
И това е резултата от тези, които извършват тази йога.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are two statements. I wanted to ask if you can explain their relationship. There is Satamyat Brahma Darshanam, that we can see absolute from the platform of goodness, and then there is this Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudeva Shablitam, that Supreme Person Krishna Vasudev can be seen only by or is realized on Sattvam Vishuddham, on transcendental platform. So I was thinking about it, that this Satamyat Brahma Darshana means that one can see like impersonal Brahman on goodness, and to see person we have to rise above that. Is it true conclusion or not?
Okay, anyway, I will answer. I'll just answer. Well, you see, such statements are subject to the explanation that sages give them. Such statements.
Да, такива изказвания се отнасят за мъдреците, които ги казват.
Yes. So, the Brahmavadi sages, then they will take it as your first interpretation.
Брахмавади мъдреците ще приемат твоята първа интерпретация.
That through the material mode of goodness one can realize impersonal Brahman.
Че може да бъде реализиран имперсоналният Брахман чрез материалното добро.
But this same can be explained by the Premanandis as meaning the just like it's clearly stated in the second verse, Vishuddha Sattva. But even the first verse, if it's explained that way, it means pure goodness, and Brahman means Krishna.
Но също може да бъде обяснено от Преманандите, като Брахман означава Кришна.
So there's always that controversy.
Винаги има това противоречие.
It says between personalists and impersonalists.
Между персоналисти и имперсоналисти.
So, in these Upanishadic statements, Vedic statements, the language often is not so specific. They will use terms like Satyam and Brahman. And the devotees will say, this means Krishna. And the Mayavadis will say, or the impersonals will say, this means impersonal Brahman.
В ведическата литература винаги има термини, на които бхакти ще кажат, че това е Кришна, Майавади ще кажат, че това е имперсонален Брахман.
So, but obviously when we come to the point of the language of Srimad Bhagavatam, then the direct personal name of the Lord is so often used. Krishna, Narayan. So then at this point the impersonalists become nervous.
Когато вземем основа Шримад Бхагаватам, там много ясно е казано Кришна, Нараян, и тогава имперсоналистите се нервират.
They feel uncomfortable.
Се чувстват много неудобно.
So they would rather stay with the Upanishads.
Така че те предпочитат да стоят с Упанишадите.
Whereas the devotees, they are comfortable with any Vedic scripture.
Докато преданно отдадените се чувстват удобно с всички ведически писания.
Because it's very clear, Vedaishta Charvera Hameva Vedya. Krishna says, by these Vedas I am to be known. That's their actual purpose.
Защото се казва, че всичките Веди аз съм целта.
Once some Mayavadis, Smarta Brahmins I think, Mayavadis, they challenged Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur to a debate.
Веднъж един Майавади предизвикал Бхактисиданта на диспут.
And he accepted.
И той приел.
So they became nervous.
И те станали нервни.
So then they informed him, after challenging him and he accepted, then they put a condition that when you come to speak, you cannot refer to Srimad Bhagavatam.
Но след като той приел, те му поставили условия, като дълго да говориш, няма и за основа Шримад Бхагаватам.
And he said, all right.
Той каза, добре.
Then a little later they said, you cannot refer to any of the Vaishnava Puranas.
Тогава те казали, няма да се вземаш за основа ники Вайшнава Пурана.
He said, yeah, no.
Той каза, подобно няма проблем.
And then they said, no Puranas at all.
Тогава те каза, ники Пурани.
And then like this, there were no Bhagavad Gita.
Каза, не Бхагавад Гита.
And they were cutting down until finally it was just certain very impersonal Upanishads.
И те стигнали само до някои определени имперсонални Упанишади.
And every stage he said, yes.
И винаги той каза, да.
Then at last they cancelled the debate.
Накрая те се отказали от дебата.
So because the Vaishnava knows the actual purport of the Vedic scriptures as Krishna,
Защото вайшнавите знаят целта, това е Кришна.
so they can even defeat the Mayavadis on the basis of Upanishads.
Защото те могат на база на Упанишадите да разбият всички.
What to speak of Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita.
Какво да говорим за Бхагаватам или Бхагавад Гита.
Yes.
Огромно в учението на Вълчетане се казва, че Кришна пребивава предимно в Вриндаван. Какво означава?
In teachings of Lord Chaitanya, it is said that Krishna resides in Vrindavan mostly. Mostly in Vrindavan. How to understand this?
Krishna resides
Yeah.
mostly? Is that the word you use?
Предимно в Вриндаван пребивава.
I cannot find the proper word. Предимно.
Mainly.
Mainly in Vrindavan, I can say. Not mostly.
Well, actually, there's a statement is that he never leaves Vrindavan.
Всъщност, казва се, че той никога не напуска Вриндаван.
Srila Prabhupada used to quote that. But Krishna never leaves Vrindavan.
Шрила Прабхупада казва, че Кришна никога не напуска Вриндаван.
So, is that clear? Or what?
Ясно ли това?
Yeah?
Да. Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes we are meeting some people who are saying that it's not so important, this regulative principle. The most important thing is to develop love of God. For example, some people, many Christians, they are saying that such statements that it's not so important what is coming, but
The
more
mouth.
important is what is coming
Comes
out.
out.
Yeah, and what to say to such people and how to preach to them.
Срещаме някой път най-вече християни, които казват, че не е важно да следваме регулиращи принципи. Какво да говорим с тях?
Well, one thing is if you try to speak to them on the basis of their scriptures, they will never accept what you have to say.
Най-важното нещо е, че ако се опитваш да говориш на базата на техните писания, няма да имаш никакъв.
And Prabhupada didn't approve of this.
И Прабхупада също не е одобрил това.
Sometimes his disciples would try to make arguments from the Bible, from the New Testament.
Някога негови ученици се опитвали да дадат от Библията.
To prove that real Christianity is like, is Vaishnavism.
Да твърдят, че истинската, че вайшнавизъм е истинската.
But Prabhupada told his disciples, don't bother with that. Don't try to argue in that way.
Прабхупада е казал, не правете по този начин.
You have to, if you want to argue Vaishnava Dharma, you have to argue from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
Ако искате да давате аргументи, давайте ги от Бхагавад Гита и Бхагаватам.
Because one thing is that their scriptures are confused.
Защото техните писания са объркващи.
They're, as Prabhupada said, they're put together from many different so-called saints, so-called prophets.
Както казва Прабхупада, те са съставени от различни така наречени светци.
And what you find proclaimed in one book of the Bible, then in another book you will find it is rejected.
Нещо, което е казано в едната книга на Библията, в друга е отречено.
Okay. So just like what you've described, that passage, they will use to argue that you can eat anything.
Също мога да кажа, че можеш да ядеш всичко.
But then you find in other passages, actually there is quite clearly stated that one should better avoid to eat meat.
Но има много ясно изказване, където се казва, че човек трябва да се избяга месото.
But these Christians themselves have been arguing about these things for 2,000 years, and they're still arguing. And if we jump in and try to also add to that argument, it won't help them. It just makes it more controversial.
Самите християни спорят върху това 2000 години, ако и ти се наместиш, ще стане съвсем объркващо.
So, if you wish to discuss with such people, then you have to stay on the platform of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam.
Ако трябва да дискутираш с такива хора, основата е Бхагавата на Бхагавад Гита.
And if they can accept to hear, then it's all right. Then you can establish, you can make some progress with them.
Ако те са склонни да слушат, тогава има някакъв прогрес с тях.
And if they cannot accept Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, then there is no point to have that type of discussion.
Ако те не приемат това, то тогава няма никакъв смисъл от дискусия.
Because you'll just go round and round and round.
Просто се повтаря.
Then, rather than argue, it's better to go to a more basic level, give them prasadam.
Вместо да има аргументи, вървите на по-достъпно ниво, дайте им прасадам.
Let them associate with devotees just to see devotees have good character.
Нека да общува с бхакти, които има добър характер.
They have to get some faith.
Трябва да има някаква вяра.
See, if they don't have faith in Krishna's words, then how you can prove anything by quoting Krishna if they don't have faith.
Ако нямат вяра, то тогава как може на базата думите на Кришна да се каже нещо?
So we have to help them cultivate, develop faith.